Hey guys, thank you for joining me again for another video. As promised, this is going to be a 2022 roundup. Now, what that means is I'm going to be presenting 10 of my favorite fragrance discoveries from this past year. Now, these are all going to be new releases, but not necessarily all from 2022. But they will represent fragrances that I've come across that have just really stood out, that have intrigued me, that have even challenged me, but they've come through sampling discovery sets, recommendations from friends, maybe even blind buys, who knows. What I do know is this is not going to be a hype video. So if you were looking to see your favorite Roja perfume featured, this is probably not the video for you. I'm sorry. But I really feel like this list is a really great list. It features houses that don't get talked about as often as they probably should. They're not being hyped over on social media. They're not being hyped here on YouTube. And I feel really good about that, and I'm eager to share these with you. So let's go ahead and get started. First up is Wasteland Warrior by the indie perfume house For the Scent of It. It was released late 2021 by perfumer Michael Schrammel, who is also the owner of the brand. Notes include blood orange, coriander, yarrow, blood cedar, vetiver, scorched resins, vanilla, and amber. When I picked up Wasteland Warrior early 2022, I remember making a post on Instagram and saying that I would be willing to wager that this fragrance ends up being one of my best discoveries of the year. And here we are. I was instantly struck with this feeling of familiarity. It reminded me a lot of Andy Towers' work, in fact. Not that it's a copy or even an impression of any of his particular fragrances, but there's this similar signature of talent and quality that seems to be threaded throughout all of the works that are coming out of this house. To me, Wasteland Warrior is like putting on your favorite t-shirt and jeans, fresh out of the dryer. You know, that sense of comfort and reassurance that comes over you, an old friend kind of feeling. The resinous and woody warmth, which isn't exactly as the notes might imply, really envelops you completely. The blending leaves you questioning just what it is you're smelling, which is really a cool thing when you think about it. It's cool to experience that every once in a while. It is nice to be able to discern individual notes, but then sometimes there's also nothing wrong with a little mystery. At any rate, Wasteland Warrior seems to be the perfect grab for just about any day, but I really enjoy it on chilly days this time of year during the fall and winter. Michael is really proving himself to be quite a talent. There are just so many good things coming out of this house, but especially this particular one, Wasteland Warrior. Next up is Panettone by Milano Fragranza. This fragrance was also released in 2021 by perfumer Matilda Bijouy. Notes include bitter orange, mandarin, ginger, carrot seed, devena, rum, everlasting flower, techidi seed, vanilla, and vinyl guaiacol. What a gorgeous, light and airy gourmand this is. I fell in love with it from a decant that was very generously given me by the wonderful Farida, also known as Yellow Scents, over on Instagram. This fragrance starts with a rousing melange of citrus and ginger, with an unexpected hint of something familiar floating in between. You get this sense of edibility of baked goods, but it just translates so light and delicate off the skin. Each time I've worn it, I've really been fascinated by the fact that it always seems to reveal something different. You discover some little nuance here or there, which brings me back to that familiar smell that I kept picking up. In the early stages, I get a very faint impression of coffee. Now, not a strong black coffee, it's more of a creamy coffee liqueur. I really thought that my nose was playing tricks on me at first, but I did mention it to a few other people, and they said that they picked up on the exact same thing. But this is indeed a wonderful gourmand for anyone that doesn't like their fragrances super heavy. Again, this is very light and airy. It has that sense of baked goods, and really everything that I've tried from this house has been amazing. Another big surprise for me came from Gentleman's Nod. The fragrance is called Earnest. It was released in 2022 by perfumer Vincent Kuzinski. Notes include lime, mango, bergamot, lemon, grapefruit, jasmine, tobacco, lavender, vetiver, sandalwood, and cedarwood. This was a recommendation from my friend Jeremy Scent79 over on Instagram. And of course, Gentleman's Knot is known for their shaving products. So I was a little skeptical about their fragrances, but once I tried a sample of Earnest as well as Musashi, I was just won over by the quality, the blending. It's just phenomenal. Of course, you can see from the notes that this starts out as a heavy citrus, and it's a nice balance between sweet and sour. And then the mango, of course, adds a tropical, fruity flair to the composition, all drying down to a nice, warm, woodsy tobacco scent. This is a compliment getter. I have worn this around many people, and they have all gone mad for it. In fact, one friend in particular who smelled it jumped right on his phone and ordered a bottle right then and there. I just love it, and it definitely deserves a lot more attention than it's been getting. My next is Pirates by Primera. This was released in 2022. The perfumer is Bader, and it features notes of pink pepper, bergamot, florals, apple, frankincense, iris, vanilla, ISOE super, gaiac wood, patchouli, musk, vetiver, oak moss, and amouage. Primera is one of my all-time favorite indie niche houses. They just offer such a variety of fragrances, really something for everyone, especially if you love your fragrances to command any room that you enter. And Pirates is really no exception. This really reminds me a lot of Xerjoff's Dolce Amalfi, but drizzled with a top shelf golden rum, if you can even imagine that. So yes, it's a tad boozy, but with that same juicy fruit vibe as the aforementioned. But because of that added boozy quality, though, I really find this one to be a lot more interesting and appealing than Dolce Amalfi. This is probably my most worn fragrance of 2022. It's just such an easy wear, and everybody that I've shared this with has really loved it. And now we come to Alchemy by Zimmer. This fragrance was released in 2022 by perfumer Roger Howell, and it features notes of suede, star anise, pink pepper, tonka bean, rum, clove, sandalwood, and musk. This relatively new house out of Australia was created by husband and wife team Adam and Natalia. And just right out of the gate, they have created 4 amazing fragrances. But Alchemy was really the standout for me. I originally got the Discovery set for their fragrance called Strange Paradise because it featured coconut. But even though I love that one, it was really Alchemy that stole my heart because even though it's not listed, it does have a sense of coconut. But it really comes off very sophisticated and more rounded, I would say. It's a suede-like and almost boozy coconut that smells and feels expensive. Again, it is very sophisticated, and the cherry on top is a rich, creamy sandalwood at the base. It's truly a captivating aroma, very easy to wear, very transitional, and also it's very long lasting as well. So it is truly a winner all the way around. And I would have to say, I love all the ones on this list, but I think Alchemy is probably my number one discovery this year. And now we come to 2654 by City Rhythm. This was released in 2022, and the perfumer is David Hilton, and features notes of coconut, blood orange, lime, juniper berries, heliotrope, sea salt, sugar cane, almond, jasmine, nutmeg, osmanthus, rum, ambergris, tonka bean, beechwood, and vanilla. This amazing house was founded by Niles Ramadan, and the fragrance itself, 2654, was actually a fan suggestion. They wanted to see a combination of previous fragrances, San Diego and Miami, combined together, and Niles took this into consideration and created this little beauty. The 2654 represents the mileage between the coastlines of Miami and San Diego, so that's where that comes from. But it really takes one of my favorite notes again, that being coconut, and it really elevates it. And it just creates something very beautiful, very sophisticated. Now, we normally think of coconut as being a summertime scent, and we think of it as being a bit more casual. But this is certainly one that you could wear year round just because of its ultra sophistication. And boy, does it have lasting power. You put this on in the morning and you will continue smelling it all throughout the day. And it too is a big compliment getter. And this is Suntal Park by Kirin NYC. This is also a 2022 release by perfumer Mona Main de Byron, who is also the brand founder and creator. It features notes of sandalwood, gardenia, saffron, and oak moss. Now, prior to Scent Explorer this year, I had no previous experience with this brand, but I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to stop at the table and try out a lot of the offerings from Kirin. They are known as being a clean brand, cruelty-free, vegan, eco-friendly, materials are sustainably sourced, the packaging is recyclable. But Santal Park to me really stood out. Of course, I'm a big sandalwood lover, but it's really hard nowadays to find a sandalwood that is truly unique and that really stands out. And this one really did it for me. And I love the backstory behind it. The idea of having this rooftop escape, very lush and verdant, just a place to get away from the concrete urban cityscape. And I think that's really captured here in this fragrance. I just love it, and I have my eye on quite a few more from this house. In Love with Everything by Imaginary Authors. This is yet another 2022 release by perfumer Josh Meyer, featuring notes of raspberry, citrus pulp, coconut, palm sugar, the imaginary note of Madame Isaac Pereira, sandalwood tropical punch, and also the imaginary note of stardust. Now, I've long appreciated the concept behind imaginary authors to present a fragrance as art, to create a narrative by which to be inspired. But this is actually my very first purchase from the house, other than the original Discovery set that I bought. And I think I vibe with this one just because of the 80s theme and the feeling of nostalgia that I felt when I smelled it for the first time. I bought this from Scent Bar in New York, and I remember that the gentleman who helped me, he kind of described it as a more young adolescent type of scent. And I guess that's right in a lot of ways. I don't think that he meant it as a negative thing, because when I smell it, I do feel that it has a certain sense of youth, of even positivity, fun, access. I mean, that kind of thing marked the whole decade of the 80s. And it was reflected not only in the music, but also in fashion, even movies. In fact, I think of John Hughes movies for some reason when I smell this. And even though I'm not normally attracted to sweet, fruity scents like this one just really appealed to me. And again, I guess it's for reasons of nostalgia. It kind of reminds me of the 80s lip smacker raspberry lip balm. You probably remember that if you grew up during that time. And of course, the fruit punch element. I remember drinking a lot of fruit punch when I was a kid. So for those reasons, I just love this one. I guess I shouldn't love it because it's not really my usual type of scent, but I just do. And I think we've all had fragrances like that from time to time that have just really surprised us. But this one really has been a highlight of 2022 for me. Another recent discovery that definitely makes this list is Crush on Me by Unique Luxury. It was released in 2021. I wasn't able to find any information on the perfumer, but it does feature notes of lime, ginger, iris, magnolia, saffron, rose, caramel, patchouli, woody notes, musk, and amber. This was another that was originally introduced to me through Farida, again, Yellow Scents over on Instagram. And then I was able to revisit it when I went to Scent Explore. For any of you who truly love patchouli, but you are at that point in your journey where it just doesn't seem like you're finding anything that is unique and different, this is one that you should definitely get your nose on, especially if you love gourmands. This one is so good. A combination of patchouli and caramel, along with some of those other notes that I just mentioned. This is truly a gourmand lover's dream. And can we talk just for a minute about this beautiful presentation? These bottles are gorgeous. The boxes that they come in, the artwork, every last detail is just so well done, so elegant, so beautiful. And now our last selection, it's another sandalwood, and it is Santal Wood by Theodoros Kalatinas. It was released in 2021, and the perfumer is Kalatinas himself. Features notes of sandalwood, patchouli, oud, rum, and labdanum. So sandalwood and rum. Enough said. You can probably imagine how this fragrance smells, but take what you're imagining in your head and amplify it by, I don't know, 100. This is such a gorgeous take on sandalwood. Kind of like we were talking about earlier with the patchouli, once you've smelled so many sandalwood fragrances, it's really difficult to find something that is truly unique and out of the box. And that is really what Calatinus has done here, giving the sandalwood a boozy twist, and then with the oud and the labdanum, it's a little bit smoky. And this is really what he's doing with all of his fragrances. They are all so out of the ordinary. He is a true talent. And if you haven't gotten your nose on his creations yet, you really need to. All right, so that will do it for this video, this 2022 roundup. What did you think about these selections? And better yet, what were your favorite fragrance discoveries of last year? Drop me some comments down below, please. And as always, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you stopping by, spending this time with me. And until the next video, guys, please take care. We'll see you soon.